Hey guys, Brittany here with another little bit of insight for you. I'm excited to share what God has put on my heart and what I reflected on. I think this is important because when we can encourage each other and build one another up, whether you agree with everything I say or there's one thing in it that's good for you, that's great. I'm just here to hopefully share that and inspire and encourage, not because I have all the answers, but because I think the world needs more of it. And if God's given me the desire to do it, I better do it. So here we go. Again, you're always welcome to listen to the podcast, or this message is recorded and posted on our YouTube, me speaking it. So you can choose what you do here. All right, so we ready? What I want to just talk about for a minute today is training, correction, criticism, reproofing ourselves. You may be, as soon as you hear those words, tensing up. For some people, that's really stressful. For other people, it's like, oh yeah, let's do this. It just depends. And I don't think there's anything wrong with either way, but I think they're worth looking more into. And so this is what I wrote, and this is what it's based on. Proverbs 15:32 says, "Those who turn away from their training hate themselves, but those who accept being corrected gain understanding." Those are pretty strong words. Those who turn away from their training hate themselves. And I think before I jump into what I want to write or what I wrote here, it doesn't literally mean that you hate yourself if you turn away from training. But I think what it's saying is you're doing yourself a disservice. You're not helping yourself. You're not increasing knowledge, essentially. So here's what I had to say. Here's something I've found in my own life. If I can start to see every high and low in my life, rough road and smooth sea, as training, I am always being refined and bettered for the plans God continually has for me. I don't want to just go through life living in my limited knowledge. I want to acquire godly knowledge and understanding so that I can live intentionally, seeing things through His eyes, having understanding bigger than the moment, so I am better able to guard my heart, my tongue, and grow in hope. So often we perceive training and correction as negative things, but when we can learn to make it about letting go of the things hindering us from becoming more like Jesus, or just being better equipped to understand who we are and can be, training actually becomes integral to growing the faith we ask for. I think one of the simplest ways I have and continue to learn how to do this is to firstly, when faced with training or correction, let go of the tendency to take it personally. When we instead see it through the lens of our humanity, which will never be perfect for any of us, and see the ways of life after going through the correction that might be easier, you leave room for grace and forgiveness for yourself and a lot of times for others. And the focus goes to Jesus, His constant help in times of trial and training. Secondly, remember, we are all given opportunities to be trained and corrected, but not all of us see such times through the same light. I believe, as shared in the Bible, it is having a kingdom mindset that will determine whether training and correction will ultimately serve your growth or thicken the walls of your ego. Okay, I'm gonna stop there because that's the end of my writing. So yeah, just pause, soak in that for a second. I will be the first to admit that being corrected, whether externally or internally, is never fun for me. It's never easy. It's not something that I think any of us are comfortable in, really. But I also then have to check myself and be like, look, if I'm praying for more faith, if I'm praying to be more like Jesus, if I'm praying to be able to surrender more or to treat others with maybe love that perhaps they don't deserve in that moment, deserve is an interesting word, but you get what I'm saying. I have learned that if I can make it not about me always being better, but about me wanting to become more like Jesus, then for me, the decision is easy. Of course, I'm going to do it. Of course, I'm going to want to take that correction because ultimately it's going to help me not make the same mistake, or it's going to help me treat others differently, or it's going to help me treat myself differently. And so for me, taking away making it personal has been huge. Also realizing we all struggle with this and we all go through this makes it more bearable. And then knowing that as a Christian, I'm called to be trained. I'm called to be reproofed and bettered and refined. And there's so many ways that can be done in life, but I think the most important is obviously by reading the Bible, getting that godly knowledge, and keeping that godly mindset. When we're tempted to be upset with ourselves or with others, or when we're tempted to say, that was that person's problem, no reflection of me, I'm good, we really need to check ourselves in those moments. Maybe it isn't. It very well could not be, but maybe it is. And we're preventing a growing opportunity for ourselves when we dismiss these things we've prayed for. God's answers come in really unique ways, and he's always working the bad for good. So when we can just keep that perspective, it's not going to make us perfect. Nothing will this side of heaven. But it can help us to get through life a little more easily, and to see training and correction not as, painful, but as just becoming more like Jesus. And that's not up for other people to necessarily, judge you by. It's for you to decide. And so there's what I had to say. Hopefully this had some value. If it did, please share it. Don't just let it sit here. I'm spending time sharing these, hoping that it'll go far and wide. So anyway, I love you guys. Have a great day. Don't forget to follow Frost Fund on Instagram, and we'll see you guys soon.